and welcome to Football Barbie, where we talk about anything and everything football. Today I want to talk about the NFC North, and do we think that the Vikings are going to lose the title, the crown, the wins that they had of 13 last season? I don't know if that's going to be this season. So stay tuned and find out, and let's get it started.
Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?
So let's start with the Vikings. So the Vikings, according to DraftKings, are going to have 8.5 wins as their over and under. The Vikings won 13 games last season in the NFC North, in Kevin O'Connell's first season as head coach before losing the home playoff game to the New York Giants. 11 of Minnesota's 13 games, though, were won with 8 or fewer points last season. So it's not like they won those 13 games by a lot. Their main addition to their roster was a first round of Jordan Addison to play alongside Justin Jefferson, which we all know is a beast, after Thielen signed with Carolina. Jefferson led the league last year with 128 receptions and 1,809 receiving yards, and they will need help from Hawkinson and others if they want to win the division again. So let's start up. Their first game, they are hosting the Bucs. I think they're going to lose this. Now, I don't think the Bucs are going to be that great this year, but I do have a feeling that they could lose to the Bucs in the first game of the season. The next game they're going to is the Eagles, and I will be there. It is the Eagles home opener, so catch me there at Lincoln Financial Field. I think that the Eagles are going to be able to pull off this win against the Vikings, and I'm very excited. I think it's going to be my mother and I and my best friend Jason who will be at this home opener for the Eagles. It's going to be electric, and I will have a video of all of that. Next, we have the Vikings hosting the Chargers. I think the Chargers are going to be a good team this year, but I do think the Vikings are going to be able to pull off a win here against the Chargers. You know, Justin Herbert is good. He is able to do that, but I think that the Chargers need to kind of, in the first few weeks, get their shit together here and figure it out. Next, you have the Vikings going to the Panthers. And with the Panthers, I think that the Vikings are going to be able to win this one. You know, I think Carolina has a lot of growth still. Obviously, they have the new rookie quarterback, but let's see what happens with them. Next, you have the Vikings hosting the Chiefs. I think that the Vikings, like I said, are going to be able to squeak out a couple of wins this year that maybe are not really expected. I think this is going to be a very close game, and I think that the Vikings have a chance to win here against the Chiefs. Next, you have the Vikings going to the Bears. I think they're going to lose. I think that the away game against the Bears is going to be a loss on the road. I don't think that the Bears are going to be as horrible as they were last year. I definitely think they have more wins in their pocket, but I don't think that they're going to be able to pull off the divisional win, but let's see. So the Vikings lose this one at the away game. Then the Vikings are hosting the 49ers. I think this is another win that the Vikings are going to be able to squeak out. And I mean squeak out as in that 8 or fewer point win title. I really think that the Vikings will give the 49ers a run for the money. We're not really sure who the 49ers are going to have as their quarterback right now. But this far in the season, I think that they're going to be able to have a win against the 49ers at home. Then the 49ers go to their rival at the Packers. But I don't think that the Vikings are going to be able to still win in Green Bay, having lost then a game on the road. Then the Vikings are going to the Falcons. I think they're going to lose this game as well. I don't think that the Vikings, like I said, are really going to be able to with all their players. You know, it's going to be curious to see what happens. I really don't think that they're going to get that 13 wins again this year. So I think they're going to lose on the road to the Falcons. Then the Vikings also play the Saints. The Saints are going to be a very interesting team this year, too. Obviously, we know that Derek Carr is starting for the Saints, and I think that they're going to be able to have this very interesting type of vibe. I do think that the Vikings will lose this home game to the Saints, though. Then the Vikings are going to the Denver Broncos. I think they're going to lose. I think at this point, I'm hoping that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have figured things out and managed to pull off some more wins for you Denver fans out there, because I think that with Sean Payton's help, if Sean Payton can't turn Denver around, I don't know who can at this point. So I think that the Vikings are going to lose this away game to the Broncos. Then you have the Vikings hosting the Bears. I think for this divisional game, I think they're going to be kind of a 1-1. I think that they do have a chance to win the home game against the Bears this season. Like I said, Chicago was able to do a lot during the offseason. I don't think they did as much as, they possibly could. I still think they have some room to grow as well, but I will think the Vikings will get this win against the Bears. Then you have a bye, which I feel like is very late in the season. And then the Vikings go to the Raiders. I think the Vikings could lose this game against the Raiders. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to do something this year. I don't think that the Raiders are going to be great. I think that they still have some issues. But I do think that this away game for the Vikings, it might crush them a bit. And I do think this will be a close one, but I think the Raiders away are going to be able to pull off a win through this. Even if it's by like 1 point, I think that they got it. Then you have the Vikings going to the Bengals. Like I said, I think that the Vikings, I'm really curious to see, and as the weeks start unfolding, I think the Vikings are going to lose games that I think are easier, and I think the harder games are going to be able to win. I think that they're going to win at the Bengals. There's just something about them where it's like you have Justin Jefferson, who is so good on their team. If they lose him, they're in a serious problem. But I think that they have a chance to win at the Bengals. Now, that's going to be really interesting because the Bengals, I feel like, are going to be on fire this year. But I do think that they have a chance to win that game away. Then the Vikings are hosting a divisional team, the Lions, and I think that they got that one. I think it's going to be kind of a 1-1 situation, but I do think they're going to be able to beat the Lions here at home. Then the Vikings are hosting the Packers again, I'm sorry, not again. The Vikings are hosting the Packers this time, and I think they're going to be able to win that as well. I think the divisional, a lot of times I say that it goes 1-1. I think this is that case. And then the Vikings go to the Lions for the last week of the game, and I think that they're going to lose that one. I think that Jared Goff and the Lions have become a much better team. So I'm giving the Vikings only 8 wins. Now, I think they have a chance to get more, but at the end of the day, that's how many I'm for now am going to give the Vikings until I start seeing some more better things from this season. Next up, we got Green Bay. Now, we obviously all know that Jordan Love is stepping in as the main quarterback, entering his 4th season after Mr. 4-time MVP Aaron Rodgers was traded away to the Jets. It's like they have a fresh start. However, Love has just thrown 83 passes in his career with 606 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions in the 3-year career previous to this year. He will look to grow with his second-year receivers of Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, along with the rookie tight end Luke Musgrave, that after Green Bay lost Alan Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Tongan this offseason. So they lost some really good players. We're just going to have to see how Jordan Love can go with this. However, as people didn't know, Rodgers did have his own growing pains in his first season after Brett Favre, with the Packers going 6-10. But let's look at the Packers. The Packers, their first game is at the Bears, and I think that they're going to lose. Like I said, a lot of times my divisional teams, I give them 1-1, and unless they're really, really dominant, then maybe they have a chance to do otherwise. So at the Bears, I think they're going to lose this game. But then they go to the Falcons. I think that they have a chance to win at the Falcons. I think that the Falcons are a very young team. They have a lot going for them, but I think that the Green Bay is going to be able to pull off a win here at the Falcons. Next, you have Green Bay hosting the Saints. Like I said, you got Derek Carr, but I don't know. I kind of have a feeling that Green Bay is going to be able to take the win here against the Saints. I think it's going to take them a moment to kind of figure out Derek Carr and everything like that. Then you have Green Bay is hosting the Lions. Here's a divisional team. I think that the Lions are going to lose here at Green Bay's home. So I think Green Bay is going to be able to pull out that win against the Lions. Then Green Bay goes to the Raiders. That's going to be interesting. I think that with the Raiders, I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to pull off something. I don't think that the Raiders, as you've seen in previous videos, are going to be that great. But so I think that Green Bay will lose here at the Raiders. Next, they have a bye, and then they go to the Broncos. Like I said, I think that Russell Wilson and Sean Payton have a chance to get some things done, and I think that the Broncos do have a chance to win, so I think Green Bay will take that loss on the road. Then Green Bay is hosting the Vikings. I think they're going to win. Like I said, divisional teams. I think they have a chance to win. Then you have Green Bay hosting the Rams. I think they're going to lose. I don't think the Rams are good. I don't think Green Bay is good this year. So I think when it's mediocre teams, it's going to be really hard. That game could probably go either way, but I think that's what's kind of going to happen. Then you have Green Bay going to the Steelers. I think they're going to lose. I think the Steelers are going to be kind of the mid-pack again this year. I think they're going to try really hard, but I do think that the Steelers will pull off a win against Green Bay, so Green Bay will also take the loss here. Then you have Green Bay playing the Chargers. Like I said, I think the Chargers will be actually pretty good this year. I think they're going to be better for sure this year than they were last year. They do have the new Kellen Moore, which is the offensive coordinator from Dallas. So you can check out those videos too. I have like all my other previous videos down below about the predictions and schedule and everything like that. So check that out. You also then have the Green Bay is going to the Lions. I think they will lose that away game for the divisional team. I think that the Lions do have a good chance to pull off the win there against Green Bay. Then you have Green Bay hosting the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs definitely are going to lose. The Chiefs are definitely going to win this game against Green Bay. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is pretty unstoppable. I do think they have a good chance to win here for the Chiefs. So Green Bay will take that loss at home against the Chiefs. Then you have Green Bay going to the Giants. I definitely think that they're going to lose that game as well. I think that the NFC East is going to be pretty good this year, maybe minus Commanders. Like I said, I really am not sure about the Commanders. So, yeah. Then you have the Green Bay is hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I think they're going to win that divisional game as well. Without Tom Brady, I think the Bucs are really going to struggle. They did lose a lot of really good people, which I'll talk about in a moment, with Leonard Fournette and everything like that. But yeah, I don't think the Bucs are going to be that great this year along with Green Bay. Then you have the Green Bay is going to the Panthers. I think they're going to win this one. I think the Panthers are still going to struggle a little bit. Even though they have this new rookie quarterback and some other players, I still think that the Panthers are going to have some struggles. And I think that the Green Bay could win away at the Panthers. Then Green Bay goes to the Vikings. I think they're going to lose that one too. I think that the Vikings are going to be a little bit better than Green Bay, but not by much this year. So we will see. And then the last game of the season, they're hosting their divisional rival, the Bears, and I think that they do have a really good chance to win. Now, I bet you if you're a Bears fan, you're really happy that Aaron Rodgers went to another division, because Green Bay was always probably one of those teams that knocked you out. So I am giving Green Bay 7 wins here. So let's see then what happens. The next team, let's talk about Chicago. So Chicago had a very busy offseason, trading down from the number 1 overall draft pick with, I think, having 3 wins for the season last year and acquiring DJ Moore in the process. They did sign Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, linebacker, while drafting heavy, including offensive tackle Darnell Wright that they signed at 10th. Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Claypool and tight end Cole Kmet give Justin Fields a lot more to work with this season. It should help improve the league's last-ranked passing offense from last season. They did the league in rushing. They did lead the league in rushing with 177.3 rushing yards per game last season, where Fields racked up more than 1,100 yards. So honestly, good for Fields. He did really good. They did manage to have something that was a positive for the fact that they had the worst season probably in a long time. I'm sure if you're a Chicago fan, you're probably thrilled. You're probably still not completely happy, but you're probably a lot more thrilled this year than you were. So let me know if you are. Then people are looking to Fields to make the leap this year. Like I've said in previous videos, I didn't like Jalen Hurts, my quarterback for the Eagles, the past 2 years, or his first 2 years. I thought he sucked. However, I think that last year, of course, which ended up he having way better star players on his team, he actually was able to show more of his strengths, and he did much, much better, getting him such a great contract. If you look at my highest paid quarterback, he is now the second highest paid quarterback for now, at least. I think that's kind of Field this is going to be this year. I think that this year is going to be a year that Fields really starts showing how much better he is than he was his previous 2 years. Because I was at the Chicago game last year for the Eagles, and it was effing freezing. I really don't know how you Chicago fans do it. Like, I come from the cold, and that was a different form of cold. Like, I don't understand how you guys do it, especially at Soldier Field where it's really, really cold there to begin with. My goodness, I could not get warm. Anybody Chicago fans? Do you guys agree? Like, what are your secrets to stay warm at that game? Because I seen people have blankets, and I was kicking myself for not having a blanket. But anyway, let's start off with Chicago's first game for the season. They are hosting the Packers, and I think that they're going to win this divisional game at home against the Packers. Like we said, their Packers no longer have Mr. Aaron Rodgers. They do have Jordan Love, and I think it is going to be a rocky season for Green Bay this year. Then the Chicago is going to the Bucks. I think that they're going to win this game at the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks are going to be the Bucks without Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, and all of that. So, yes, I definitely think that the Chicago has a good chance to win there. Then the Chicago goes to the Chiefs. That would be the upset of the season if Chicago somehow managed to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that they're going to lose to the Kansas City Chiefs. But if you take, for some reason, the Kansas City Chiefs or the Chicago Bears to win against the Chiefs, and you do, man, that's going to be one heck of a payout if you draft. You know, look at probably DraftKings. I'm sure they do it, have it, or any casino. Yeah, that would be interesting. I think they're going to lose against the Chiefs. Then you have the Bears hosting the Broncos. I think they're going to lose. Like I said, I think Russell Wilson. I'm putting faith in Sean Payton. I'm putting faith in Aaron Rodgers this season. I'm putting faith in Sean Payton. I think that the Chicago is going to lose against the Broncos at home. Then you have Chicago going to the Commanders. Like I said, I don't think the Commanders are going to be great. I don't think Chicago's going to be great. But I do think that the Commanders can pull off a win here against Chicago. So I do think that Chicago will lose on the road to the Commanders. Then the Bears are hosting the Vikings. I think they will win a divisional game. I think the Bears will show people that they're not horrible. But I think the Vikings are not going to be great this year either. So I do think that the Bears will win at home against the Vikings. Then the Bears are playing the Raiders at home. I think they're going to lose. I think this is going to be also another one of the Raiders wins. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be slightly better than Chicago. So we will see what happens with that. Jimmy Garoppolo does have incentives in his contract. If you look at my highest paid quarterbacks, in order to put up some stats. So I'm sure he's going to really want to try for that matter. Then you have the Bears going to the Chargers. Like I said, I think Justin Herbert is going to be pretty good. I think the Chargers are going to be pretty good. But let's see exactly what happens. So I think that the Chargers will beat the Bears at home. So the Bears will take this loss. I'm sorry. Yeah, the Bears will lose to the Chargers away on the road. Then the Bears are going to the Saints. I think that they have a chance to win. Like I said, I don't think the Saints are going to be great this year, and I don't think the Bears are going to be great this year. It's one of those ways. This game could probably really go either way, though, with this. Some of these games are definitely going to go either way. They're going to be very close ones, and I think this one is really going to be a close call because it's mediocre versus mediocre. Next, you do have the Bears are hosting the Panthers, and like I said, I think the Panthers are going to do well, but I still think they're going to struggle some with the new quarterback. It's going to probably take them a moment to see. Now, let's be surprised if the quarterback is going to do well, but you never know. I think they're going to win here against the Panthers at home. Then the Bears are going to the Lions. They're a away game for the divisional team, and I think they're going to lose. I think that Jared Goff is for sure going to beat Mr. Justin Fields at home. Then the Bears are going to the Vikings. I think they're going to lose that game as well at the Vikings. Like I said, I don't think either one's truly better than the other, and I think that they will lose, though. It is the Vikings' home game. Then they have a bye. Then the Bears are hosting the Lions. I think the Bears have a chance to beat the Lions at home. I really do. I think that it's going to be like really close game. I think the Bears, a lot of their games are going to be really close. So I do think that the Lions will lose here to the Bears at home. Then you have the Bears are going to the Browns. We all know Browns have Deshaun Watson. I don't think that either team is truly that great, but I do think that the Bears will lose at the Browns to Deshaun Watson. Then you have the Bears are hosting the Cardinals. I think this is one of the losses for Bears as well. I think the Cardinals are going to be this year. They really messed up their draft. I don't understand what happened. They really need some more rebuilding on the Cardinals. I think they're going to lose. The Bears are going to lose to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals will win this game. The Cardinals are not going to be good, neither the Bears, but I think the Bears could lose against the Cardinals here. And then the Bears are hosting the Falcons. I think they're going to lose this one as well. I think the Falcons might be able to pull a little bit of a win here, but not by much. And then the last game for the season is the Bears are going to the Packers, and I think they will lose this game as well. Like I said, Jordan Love, but it's a divisional game, and I think that they were going to be able to pull off a win there. So I will think that Chicago is going to have 6 wins for this season. So now let's talk about Detroit Lions. You know, Mr. Jared Goff used to be on the Rams. They switched places, him and Matthew Stafford, a few years back. Very interesting. The Green Bay Packers were knocked out of playoffs by the Lions in the last regular season game. They did finish last season with wins in 8 of their final 10 games. The Lions scored 29.4 points per game in weeks 10 to 18 last season, which is 3rd in the NFL. Brad Holmes has had an active all-season, signing David Montgomery away from the rival Bears and drafting Jahmyr Gibbs 12th overall. They have spent considerable resources rebuilding their secondary, signing my favorite one-year person who played for the Eagles, Mr. CJ Gardner. So Johnson, I think that he did phenomenal. And I'm so sad that we lost him. I know a lot of Eagles fans are sad. You know, he did get hurt against the Commanders last season, but he was sacked. He sacked people, or not sacked, but he was able to get so many interceptions last season. I'm highly bummed that, we lost him. And then you have Cameron Sutton that they managed to get, and Emmanuel Mosley. So they're projected to win, I think, the divisional title since 1993 if they manage to get that. But let's talk about their schedule. You have Detroit going to the Chiefs. Yeah, I think they're going to lose. I really think that they're going to have a chance. And as much as good I think Detroit will be this year, I don't think the Chiefs will allow Detroit to win, especially at home for the Chiefs. So I think that Detroit will lose on an away game. Then Detroit is hosting the Seahawks. I think they're going to be able to win this game against the Seahawks. I think that Geno Smith will be pretty good this year, but I don't think that the Seahawks are going to manage to pull off a win here. Then you have Detroit is hosting the Falcons, and I think they're going to be able to win this game as well. I think that the Falcons, like I said, are going to be okay, and so is Detroit, but I think that Detroit has a good chance to win here at home versus the Falcons. Then you have Detroit going to their rival at the Packers. I don't think the Packers are great. I think Jordan Love, like I said, will struggle this year, but I do think that the Packers have a chance to beat the Lions at home, so Detroit will take this loss on the road. Then you have Detroit is hosting the Panthers. I think they're going to win here at home. Like I said, I think the Panthers are going to have some issues. They are going to struggle some. I don't see them winning. And then you have Detroit is going to the Bucs. I think they're going to win. Like I said, I don't think the Bucs are going to be the Bucs without their star players that they've had the past few seasons. The Bucs were able to win a Super Bowl with all the really good players that they have, and then they lost players, and obviously Tom Brady retired. So it's kind of, that's just how it happens. But yeah, I think Detroit's going to be able to take the win here at the Bucs. Then Detroit is going to Mr. Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens. I think he'll take a loss. I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be pretty good this year as long as he, like I said, stays healthy. I do think that they have a chance. So I think Detroit will lose this game at the Ravens. Then Detroit is hosting the Raiders. I think that definitely Detroit is going to be slightly better than the Raiders, and I think that they will pull off a win here. Then Detroit has a bye. Then they go to the Chargers. Like I said, I think the Chargers are going to be pretty good this year, and I think that the Chargers will win. So therefore, Detroit will lose at the Chargers on the road. The next game is the Detroit is hosting the Bears, the divisional team, and I think that they will be able to win as well. And then you have Detroit hosting the Packers. I think they're going to be able to win that team as well. And then you have Detroit is going to the Saints. With Mr. Derek Carr and everybody. I think that Detroit might actually lose here, though. So I think that the Saints stand a chance to win, and we will see what happens. But I do think that Detroit could lose at the Saints. And then Detroit has another road game at the Bears for the divisional game. I think that the Bears could win here at home against Detroit. So I think that Detroit will lose this one. Then you have Detroit is hosting the Broncos, and I think that they have a chance to win. I think that Sean Payton and Russell Wilson might get their stuff together a little bit, but I do think that the Detroit Lions now do have some more star power, and I think they were really kind of catching their stride towards the end of last season. I think that they're going to be able to win here. Then they go to the Vikings. I think they're going to take this loss to the Vikings. And then they have going to the Cowboys. I think they're going to lose against Cowboys. I think the NFC East is going to be pretty good this year like they were last year. Maybe not as good, but I think they're going to definitely be up there. So I think that the Detroit Lions will lose to the Cowboys on the road. And then the last game of the season, the Detroit Lions are hosting the Vikings. I think they will win that divisional game, which gives Detroit 9 wins, which would make them my winner for the NFC North. Now, that would be the first time since 1993 that the Detroit Lions have managed to win the title. Let's see what happens. I'm really curious. I think a lot of them are going to go either way. But for now, until I start seeing teams play, this is how I feel that the NFC North is going to go down. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe. Talk to me about your team. I would love to know in the comments. Love you all. Ta-ta for now.